This conference will now be recorded.
Hi, John. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining. So the first order of business tonight is the organizational meeting on the agenda. I'm going to start the organizational meeting to elect the chair and vice chair. It is now 6:30 p.m. and I call the meeting to order. Will someone please make a motion to nominate the chairman?
Steve Law, Vice Chairman. I make a motion to nominate Jamie Millward as Chairman of the ARB.
Anyone seconding the motion?
Second.
Tom, okay. It has been moved and seconded that Mr. Jamie Millward has been nominated as the new Architectural Review Board Chairman. Those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Those opposed, please say no. Okay, so the motion passes and Jamie Millward is now the chairman of the ARB for this calendar year. I also am going to take nominations for the vice chairman because Jamie cannot make it tonight. And in his absence, I request nominations for the vice chair. John? Yes.
I'd like to nominate Steve Law for vice chair.
Thank you. Any seconds?
I will second.
Thank you. It has been moved and seconded that Mr. Steve Law has been nominated as the ARB vice chair. Those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, please say no. So there's nobody in opposition. The motion passes. And Steve is now the vice chairman for Architectural Review Board for this calendar year. And Steve, in the absence of Jamie Millward, I request you to preside over this meeting and carry on the other items on the agenda.
Okay, Susmitha, thanks everybody for attending, and I appreciate Alan and Nick in submitting that application. We have first on the agenda is the approval of minutes from October 14th, 2021. Is there any discussion from John or Tom on the minutes?
No, I'll make a motion to approve as written.
Okay, I'll second the motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. The minutes are accepted as written. Next on the agenda is application for 180 Surf Avenue. To review the petition to zoning commission by Alan Borghese for constructing a proposed single-story 4,440 square foot addition to the easterly side of the building known as Stratton Industries. Okay, Alan or Nick, I'm not sure who's going to take the lead, but you guys want to tell us about your project?
May I take the lead? Please, Alan Borghese speaking.
Go ahead, Alan.
Okay, just to tell you, this company has been a manufacturer in Stratford for a number of years. They manufacture aircraft parts. They are very successful. They are in desperate need for some additional space at this site. The site is located basically on the corner of, I'll say, the entrance to Route 95 and Surf Avenue and Lordship Boulevard. It's a relatively older building, and the front portion of it, which is the office, is built with a mansard roof. And if those of you know what a mansard roof was very popular years ago with a lower wood shingle. The rest is basically a relatively plain block building, but the most noticeable feature is there's a very, very large sign above the building roof, which is basically an advertising sign that they have a long-term contract with a supplier, and it advertises for those people that are Route 95. But as you all said before, the present building has a footprint of 12,500 square feet, and we're adding about 4,400 square feet for a total of 16,900 square feet. From the, I have attached a number of photographs, both aerial and around photographs of the building. And I also have attached a drawing number A2, which we have here, which is the true elevations of the building as we depict of the existing building with our new addition. The new addition itself, it's interesting to say the direction is basically to the west of the existing building. And under today's construction requirements for insulation, a standard block or a standard brick or a standard stud wall does not meet the insulation code anymore. So we elected to build this small addition using a foam-filled, what you would consider perhaps a freezer panel. And it's a very nice panel. It has a very flat surface with a vertical corrugation about 42 inches on center. And it's very attractive. We're using it actually on probably 80% of the new buildings we're building today because it basically is the only way you can really meet the energy code for new construction. I'm just going to roll on here a little bit and then we'll come back with questions. One of the attachments I have here is the neighborhood context. And to accomplish the neighborhood context, what I did is I took the town map and indicated all of the buildings in the area. And it kind of indicates that the site is really not surrounded with anything that I would call highly unusual or maybe artistic or anything else, such as a museum. It's really an industrial area, has Federal X shipping center, has UPS shipping center, and a number of other industrial uses. As you go actually to the east, it's basically a mixed combination of substantially industry and some residential, very small residential homes. I have attached here maps that indicate the existence of the existing rooftop and proposed units, which you're looking at right now. And I literally had to climb up on the roof to locate these units. But there is a total of 6 rooftop units feeding the existing and the new building. I actually climbed up on the roof. All of the roofs pitch to the south at a very, very flat minimum, a 1/4-12 pitch. And that is the minimum code requirement for all roofs. You will see no peaks, you will see no gutters, you will see nothing from any view that the town can see. And so all of the roof itself is concealed. I did show a landscaping plan. I physically went out there myself, and we are really contemplating no landscaping. The landscaping on the existing building is attractive, it is neat, it is clean. There is the one interesting factor is right in front of our new building, as you are entering Route 95, is a very large, some kind of a tree. And I say sometimes there were no leaves on it. I believe it's a maple tree in the range of 24 to 30 inches in size that is remaining in place. And other than that, there is no landscaping being proposed here. Let's see what else we have here. One of the questions they asked for is a floor plan of each floor, since it's a 1-story building. The roof plan itself is the floor plan, and there are no other areas. To the west is the office area, the first section there, and the rest of it is manufacturing and warehousing. When they construct this addition, they're actually taking down and removing from the site a bunch of storage trailers and little sheds that are part of the building. And to be very candid with you, the building will be a lot more attractive when we're completed with the construction of this addition. I think, it's, from my point of view, this is relatively simple, but I'd love to answer any questions that the board may have.
Yeah, I'll just start with a few excuse me. Sorry about that. I'll just start with a few comments and then we'll go around. I think the site, Alan, is a very, the site improvements are going to have a very big impact. And in the packet that I got, I had a couple different site plans. And actually I got some photographs, and they might have been older photographs because they showed no striping of parking. And I noticed on your site plan, it looks like, I don't know if it's going to be new pavement. I saw, like I said, I think there was a little bit of a discrepancy. I had two site plans, and I don't know if I was supposed to get both of them or not. But I think we need to talk a little bit about the plantings. The other question I had in my mind is that billboard signage up on the roof, is it in a V shape or is it parallel signs?
It's a V shape. It's
It
a
is.
very large structure. The post coming up out of the ground is probably 40 inches diameter. It's
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. It looks like in one of the photographs, maybe I had some older photographs in my packet, but it looked like the signs were parallel. So we're not really going to consider signage as part of this, correct?
I am not adding any signage to my application. All the existing signage that is there now is going to remain, and I'm adding nothing to the signage.
So I'll hand it over to the other two members, but Sue Smith, can you put up the site plan, or I don't know who's controlling the?
It was on the plan. The site plan itself is not changing at all from what's there now. There is a gravel parking. The only thing is this is not my site plan. It is a Lewis Associates who did a actual in the field site plan. And to the right of the building, there is an existing gravel parking lot, and it says parking over existing gravel 21 spaces. That is there presently. Let's see if we can find that. That should be, well, I labeled the items D. Yeah.
Vice Chair, yes.
Yeah.
If the applicant is willing to share their screen, I can provide the presenter capabilities. Also, I would like to let you know that there are some photographs that I emailed to you day before yesterday of the site, and I'm not sure which photographs you're referring to. Are those the photographs that you're referring to? Because
no, I received photographs in my packet.
okay.
And some of the photographs look like they were older because, Alan, you're speaking to the parking to the front of the building. I see some of it was striped, but it looked like.
Well, yeah, let's look at that. Stay right there. That is the site plan. And as I said, I did not produce this site plan. This is an as-built. This is where they actually do park right now, and and it is the closest, I'll say, that someone could reproduce of the parking, because when you have just gravel on the ground, it doesn't stripe well. So he took his best demarcation of the existing parking that's there now.
So that configuration of the drive-through and the parking towards I guess that's the east, that currently exists?
Yeah, just look at there's a note. It says existing edge of gravel parking right next to the wetlands. And so he has the gravel parking shown, and just he picks where most people park. That's what he told me he did. And this indicates basically where the people park. The actual gravel is out further, slightly beyond the arch that you see on the drawing right now. They do not intend to change the pavement. They don't intend to change the parking.
And do you have a site plan that shows the plantings?
Yes, I do. And for the plantings, again, by the way, all of these photos that I took are brand new. So if there's a conflict, it'll be interesting because they should be the same. I took on 2 different days. One day it was raining and one day it wasn't. I have a site plan, which is basically the same plan, and I highlighted where the shrubs are. Let's see if you have it in your folder. It basically is, again, Lewis Associates zoning location survey. Is there another? I don't know. I haven't got the ability to do
Well,
that.
I don't know if you can see this at all. I don't know if you can read that.
I mean, I could hold my plan up. I don't know how to do it otherwise.
Yeah. And anyway, Tom or John, you guys want to chime in on some other comments?
Yeah, can you guys hear me okay? I know I joined a second late. Can you guys hear me? Hello?
Yes. Yes,
Yes,
John.
we can hear you.
Oh, okay. I wasn't sure if you could hear me. I'm trying out I'm on my tablet tonight rather than a computer. And if I'm looking up at my TV screen that I'm mirroring the stuff to. So yeah, I too did receive a ton of different site maps. Some had hand drawing things on them, some did not. So I'm with the vice chair. I was having a little difficulty finding out which site plans I should be looking at. There are a couple. I have one that has orange annotation on it that talks about the trees and the plantings. It shows some shrubbery. I guess from my perspective is the site plan that we had up, and I guess, Susmita, if you could bring that up.
The one with the
Yes.
orange on it is where I have indicated, I went out there in the field and indicated what's there for existing shrubbery, and then I've taken pictures of the shrubbery because I couldn't identify what was there. Like I say, for this site, it was I thought, very attractive.
Okay, I'm just wondering, back to the vice chair's point, is this parking configuration what's there? Because I understand what you're saying about edge of gravel, and then it looks like the bold lines are to be modifications and the other lines are existing conditions. Is that correct, or is that not correct? That's partially correct?
What I was told was that the gravel drive is there, and the architect, to the best of his ability, went out there and marked how people actually park.
Okay. But again, pointing out this particular site map that Susmita is sharing, if you keep it on that, Susmita.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry about that. It appears, again, and again, working with architectural drawings, it appears that everything in bold is sort of a proposed condition versus everything slightly grayed out or thin line is existing. Is that, or is that not correct?
That's what I see, and I asked them why they did that, and they said this is the way they actually park on that site. There's more gravel area than they really use on the site, and that's
Okay.
the only explanation. I didn't go further into any explanations beyond that.
What other additions? Again, I understand the subtractions in terms of removing trailers and containers, and certainly comparing the images of the site as it currently exists to some of the proposed renderings and understanding that trailers are going to be moved and everything else. What other additions are planned? I know there's the proposed building addition, which I will comment on. I understand that there's some lighting that was hand drawn on one of the plans I had, but also physically shown on a couple others. I understand there's an addition of transformer. What other additions, I guess, so we could comment on the proposed modifications? I just want to be clear in our comments this evening as to exactly what is being proposed versus existing. I guess that's where I had some difficulty.
I think the first thing that's most important is there'll be a removal of a numerous amount of trailers and sheds at the existing building. So from that aspect, this will improve tremendously. There will be proposed transformer you can see to the rear, which will bring the electrical service into this building. The electrical service right now is fed from an overhead service, completely inadequate, from there's a pole next to Route 95 entrance ramp. Other than that, I was told that nothing on this site will change. And I said to you, I showed a large tree on my little orange markings, and I showed the foundation plantings all around the building and with pictures, but nothing else will change. Right now, to be very candid with you, the back of the building is not highly well maintained, and this will actually give it an opportunity to be better maintained and get rid of a lot of the storage trailers that are all there right now.
Okay. I did see that you did provide a color palette and identified the color. Susmita, do you have that available?
Yes, I do. And the color they selected,
Whomever.
called warm white. There it is, right there. Excellent.
Okay. Now the thought behind that color is that, and it says color at Stratton, is that matching something? Is that designed to blend in with the existing building colors?
The existing building colors are really a high mixture of different colors. And yes, they were trying to match to some degree the taller building in the back, which is faded white and painted and a lot of, I will say, unattractive finishes. And that was the concept, is this warm white would blend in best from their point of view.
That's pretty funny what he did with that blanket, Jared, huh?
And then my understanding is it's going to be a metal structure, as you had indicated earlier, ribbed.
Not ribbed, no, flat panel.
Oh, it's flat panel. Okay.
Correct.
And how about is there a border on the building? I couldn't really tell from the drawings. The drawings didn't point out very much color. It just spoke to the types of materials. At least the one I have. Let me open this up here. Or Susmita, can you share some of these renderings?
The border of the building, the top,
Yes.
remember, since this building has no gutter or anything else, it's going to be, there's a white trim to match the color on the top of the roof of this building, the addition, which basically matches the existing building itself. It's not meant to be highlighted as a separate color. It could be if you find it desirable. I'm not sure that's desirable.
Okay, so now that's just, if you could talk us through right here, just so I get a better understanding, Susmita, if you could leave this up, and then you could just walk us, Mr. Borghese, just kind of left to right, like material, color. I'm just trying to get an understanding because these weren't color prints. And like I said, the only thing that we were provided was that color chart with one noted color. I just wondered if you could speak to that, because I see there is a trim material. It appears to be at the top of the panel. So if you could just talk about the materials and colors looking at this map,
Okay,
it would definitely clarify.
let's look at it from the north elevation. North elevation is really the entrance to the highway. North elevation basically, and you'll see that the mansard building itself, which is a brown color on the right side of it, north elevation, spends about 50% of the building.
Hold on one second. Hold on. Susmita, I think it was arch 2. All you had to do was slide it. You had to slide it. Go back to the.
Oh, there we go. Yep.
Yeah, go back to the drawings too. I mean, this certainly will help. But if you go to arch 2, Susmita, that we were just on, and you scroll down, the north elevation's right there at the bottom of the page. Sorry about that, Mr. Borghese. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No. The right, extreme right portion of that building is a brown block, and then it changes to a white block in the middle here. Eventually becomes just a standard block without a flat block, without any mansard at all. Then we get to the section that is our new building. As I said, the customer has elected to make a off-white panel, and The trim on the top and the sides will all be the same color. We're not trying to highlight any trim on this building.
Okay.
And if you want to go around the corner now, we can go to the opposite elevation. And this elevation, to be very candid with you, is not visible from any location, including the neighbors, because between this and the adjacent neighbor, there is a wetlands and some other dense vegetation. So there's nothing that's available, from the visual aspect on that side. But again, it's the same thing. Now we show you can see the roof pitch, because that is those little lines that are between the high and the low roof. Here you will see a gutter. The gutter will have 3 downspouts as shown there. And again, they're the same color as the siding. I'm not trying to highlight them at all. And the roof pitch actually will never be seen from the ground, because that is basically a very flat quadrant 12 roof pitch. But we have to show it on a true elevation, as you see here.
Sure, sure. Now, what is the window treatment going to look like? I see there are 3 windows on both sides.
Yes, there are, and those are a bronze trim window, insulated glass, just to let light into the facility and make it more habitable.
And they're trimmed how? Did you say? I missed that.
It's with a bronze tubing on the edges of the windows, and then insulated glass.
Okay. All right. Now that gives me a much better understanding. I appreciate you trying to match the color of the adjacent brick. Again, it seems like we're working with 3 entirely separate buildings here, as you pointed out first, and understanding the brick building in between is not mansard, as is the front of the building, and there's 3 different elevations. I certainly appreciate the massing, that you're not going too tall with this building, understanding stepping up from other parts of the structure. Now, in between, what is the spacing in between the panels, or there is none? They're going to be butt up directly against.
I show a line which will probably hardly see, but there is a line, and it's about every 42 inches, a very thin line where the 2 panels butt together and interlock.
Okay.
So it's not like a corrugated siding like you'd expect on a real normal metal building.
Okay, that's what I was getting to, I guess, earlier.
It's a grade up from that by far.
Sure. All right, I appreciate that explanation. One other comment relative to the transformer unit. One thing we've really tried to do at properties, and again, this is speaking to your point earlier about cleaning stuff up and removing trailers and kind of having the building and then the associated landscape and everything be more cohesive, is we've tried to guard visually some of those units. So if there's any thought about some plantings or bushes or anything, just again, if someone's coming to the facility, they look back there, they don't see this big honking transformer in the back part of the lot. Just if some consideration could be given to visually screening that area would be appreciated.
John, let me just say to you very candidly, if you drove by this building, you would literally see, it's a low building, you would see it, it is well maintained, attractive plantings around it. They've done a great job of making the best out of, I'll talk about it, a moderate building at best. And to be very candid with you, it's actually quite well hidden. If you continue and go up to the entrance ramp to the Route 95, you'll see right behind us, the next building is a building with a white siding and a block lower panel, which is very interestingly similar to this. The one new transformer we're putting in the back, or the transformer we're putting in the back, is completely screened from any view at all. It is literally impossible. I mean, you'll be limited on what you can do to screen it because the power company needs access to it. But
sure, understood.
You would accomplish very little screening. If the commission would like some screening added there, or I'd love to have you look at some of the elevations where the existing plantings are. As I said, it was late in the year, but even then you could see the the plantings, the place is neat and clean as it could be considering the age and the style of the building. They've done a great job. They're a very successful company.
Sure.
And that's why I didn't take any steps to add anything, because I would just be adding it to make lines on a drawing.
No, understood. I could appreciate that point. I'm glad you pointed that out, that it is. And now that I'm flipping through some of the pictures myself. Yeah, I could see that area of the lot is certainly not visible. All right, that's all I have for right now. I'll turn it over to Tom.
Thank you.
Tom Sarkowitz, you have some comments?
Um,
Hold on. Sue Smith has.
Yeah, for a few minutes, John's camera froze, and I was wanting to make sure that he's still with us.
His face froze,
Now,
but the audio didn't.
yes. Okay, all right. Mhm.
Yeah.
My back.
yeah.
Tom, do you want to go ahead and talk about the site, and then we'll talk about the building?
Sure, real quick. This is a very unique site, just of where it is in the industrial part of Stratford, and then how it sits adjacent to 95 and the entrance ramp. I totally get the scaling of the addition that's being proposed, and I understand that as you're going up the 95 entrance ramp, you're already going up, so the building is going to be sunk down in just the line of vision, and so it's already going to be screened. So I don't have any problem with the massing of it. And I do appreciate the colors are muted, nothing flashy, meant to go away really. Question for the presenter. Does the property owner, the client, own that large tree that seems to be next to the billboard?
The large tree is on state property between his property. Part of it's on his property, but it's basically partially on his property. Let me look here. I have a clearly marked on the map. And on the state highway property, which he is trying to acquire a small triangle, if we go back to the site plan, because he would like at least enough room to get around this building and mow and maintain the area. Until about 3 months ago, the state has even refused not to even negotiate with him, but he appears that he believes that he will end up with acquiring a small piece of land there. But that tree is not on his property.
Okay. I think that tree would be important.
The original plan that they presented to me to build literally went almost to the property line, and we pushed it back just to give it a little more green clearance to the property line.
Right.
In fact, the print you're looking at now there shows 5 foot, and we're no longer building it at 5 feet away.
Right.
You see where the fence line is along Route 95 entrance ramp?
I do. Yep.
He's asking to purchase that little piece of triangle there.
Yep. Okay. I guess that tree, if he can acquire that land, is very important in terms of landscaping and screening of this addition. And if he could add even just one more tree on that tiny piece of property that he does own, I think that would really work in his favor. I agree with you. I think the plantings are nice for the area. I think they do lend themselves to the enhancement of Stratford. I'd like to point out that we have a whole section in our design guidelines about landscaping. So the planted environment is just as important as the built environment. So even just, new mulch annually really, spruces things up. And just a question back to the parking. The bold outline for the parking that is being proposed, is that intended to be paved or gravel?
It's going to be left gravel. I asked that because I was worried about the additional impervious area, and they said no, they want to make no changes to that at all.
Okay. man, I gotta say that a paved area, pervious or not, is gonna look a hell of a lot better than gravel. But you know, certain projects have certain budgets and, you know, certain expectations of what the client wants, and that's understandable to this commission. I think
the mitigating force on that was not whether it was paved and impervious. There is a wetlands behind it and floodplain, and there was a great deal of concern about making any more impervious area to the site.
Understood. I guess, you know, and speaking of the addition only, I think it's fine. It's small enough in relation to the existing building. It's hidden enough, screened enough from neighboring properties and the public view. I don't really have a problem with it. It almost falls out of our architecture purview, but I'm glad it's before us to review. But that's all I have today, Steve.
Okay, thanks, Tom. So after hearing comments from the other commissioners, I must say, I think, you know, our commission has tried very hard to implement improvements to the overall property, which includes landscaping and plantscaping. So I'm not 100% convinced that the project wouldn't benefit from some additional plantings. It's just the quality of the landscape drawing is lacking a little bit. But I think we can talk about that further. Regarding the building, I don't know if I got a color chart. I didn't seem to receive a color chart. I think the building would be it's going to be.
Commissioners, I did not receive it in my packet either. It was only provided in the email of the documents. I did find it this afternoon when I was looking through.
Okay, thanks, John. Just regarding the building, Alan, I think because neither one of these buildings is that glamorous, I'll say, but you know, we're trying to improve the architecture and the built environment in Stratford, and we're in an industrial area, I understand, but whatever we can do to help improve the overall architecture and make a sense of place, I think will help. And I think the metal building could stand to have a little bit more articulation, whether it's, you know, a heavier cornice or whether it's some striping or I see the color selected. Maybe we need a little stronger color with a little accent or something, but I think that would go a long way into improving the impact of the addition onto the existing site. A couple other points. Is there going to be much new fencing involved? I see there seems to be a lot of chain link fencing. Is that all staying?
That's not their chain link fence. I believe it belongs to the state of Connecticut. I believe this along the ramp. And if you really look at landscaping, their property line and the chain link fence are literally 3 feet apart. And they have done, even along that entry ramp to Route 95, they put landscaping all the way through there that is probably not on their land at all. I thought they did an excellent job of that. I think some of my photos that I have here show it. But let's go back to, in a strange way, talking now friend to friend. I'm not sure I want to bring out that building and put any styrations or color changes on it. I think it's small enough, it blends in. From my perspective, and I'm not a genius in this business, I build a lot of buildings. I would have been, I feel personally, I'm very pleased how simple it is, and we're not trying to announce what we're building here. This building, in my opinion, when we get done, will almost look like it never was. And that's what we're trying to accomplish in this difficult situation with this very odd site and these odd buildings. But I will add color trim I will highlight the edges if you like. I'd rather have you suggest to me that the wall where this building abuts the existing block wall maybe be upgraded to match this building color on that wall where it butts, so it blends better. I think if that is, from my point perspective, much wiser expenditure of money or effort.
Okay, John, go ahead.
I would seem to agree with the applicant there, Steve. I thought about that. I thought about trimming it, and I thought about articulating the roof lines slightly differently. I think, like many people have brought up, including the applicant this evening, we're not really doing much to the vast majority of the other structures, although they could use some update. You know what I mean? To spruce up the place. You know what I mean? And I guess to Alan's point, I agree with trying to blend it in. I don't know what type of purview we have to make comments on modifying color schemes on the adjacent buildings, if any, because that would be a recommendation of mine. But again, I think we are bound to speaking about this one addition. So to Alan's point, I think they are making the best of it with everything there. In terms of the color scheme, it does blend into Tom's point earlier too. It does begin to fall below the roadside as you go up the ramp. So that's just my comments relative to your comments and what Alan had put forth.
Thanks, John. I appreciate that. One thing we didn't talk about, Alan, was it looks like there's a variance requested from zoning. Can you talk about that?
I missed verbiage. I'm sorry.
Is there? It looks like on the site plan, in the zoning information, I think there's a component that is looking for a zoning variance. Is that true?
That was an interesting question that came up, and everybody learned a little from that. It said it may be required. When we investigated that, the entrance ramp to Route 95 is not a street, nor if you had your rear of your lot against 95 is it a street. We discussed this with the planner, and he agreed it is not a street because every property would be in violation of the front yard setback on Route 9 that faces Route 95. So Route 95 is not a street; it is just a sideline, and so that met the requirement. There is no variance or required for this. It was quite an interesting thing in my life when that came up, and when I saw that on the map, I went to see the surveyor, and he said, I wrote that down just for my protection, but I don't think that is a frontage. And when I checked with the planner, he agreed it is not a frontage. Interesting, isn't it? You learn something even at our tender age, those of us that are older.
Yeah, so that frontage you're talking, yes, I live and breathe that. So that frontage you're talking about is the north elevation, I guess, right? Because the property address. Oh.
That's correct. It's to the north. And one of the prints indicated variance may be required.
Yeah, okay.
And that was dismissed.
Okay, let's see. Was there any other discussion from any of the commission members? John or Tom, go ahead.
The applicant noted that he thought it would be a good use of the client's budget to match the existing CMU to the metal panel. I think that's, if I'm quoting him correctly. I didn't know that was an option when we reviewed this, but if that is, I would second that. I think that is actually a good way to tie the building together. instead of having three separate looking buildings.
I think we're talking about the east wall of the existing building where it butts or is parallel to the new addition. That one piece of wall there, that if I look at the dimensions here, are somewhere in the range of, I'd say 80 or 90 feet.
I guess if I'm looking at the elevation, I was maybe referencing the south elevation.
That's correct.
Correct. Okay.
No, I'm sorry, I said that
No.
wrong. No, the south elevation faces to the rear of the building.
Right.
It's actually the elevation between the existing building and that wall. And maybe we can look at the site plan. Let's go back to the site plan.
Smith, can you put the elevation up?
Here. Can you see my cursor?
Yes.
All right, if you look at the site plan, I will.
So Smitha, go ahead.
Yeah, if the applicant would let us know which sheet I should open in this list, I will go ahead and open.
The survey plan would be ideal. By Lewis.
Which one? South area? Sorry, I didn't hear you. Which drawing did you want me to open?
The site plan by Lewis Associates, please, would be the best.
The site plan? Okay.
Okay, I agree. This drawing is a little bit, maybe you could blow it up a little bit for me, please. Okay, this drawing is a little misleading, but I'm talking about the wall from the cursor from here going up to that point, where you're going to see it 2 feet of the wall. Where this basically you'll be seeing this portion of the wall trying to match my new building. That's what I think we should do right there. And so the two of them look like they were built together. Again, there's only 2 foot difference in height. So it's not like one is projecting a lot different than the other, but I think it would improve the view when you're looking at it from the east.
Okay.
Other than that, you see the difference.
Right. I agree with you then. I think whatever we can do to make this building have more continuity with itself, I think is in the right direction.
And just for clarity, let me give you a better dimension to real scale here. This is a 30 scale. We're talking about a wall of about 30 feet long. That's all we're saying. That piece of wall I just talked about right there is about 30 feet of length. That will blend again with a new 74 foot new wall, and it'll look similar. And again, it's 2 feet lower at the top, so there's going to be no detrimental, in my opinion, no detrimental effect at all.
So Alan, just so I understand, are you talking about painting the existing block building to match the panel siding?
That's correct.
And that's on the south elevation?
It's on the, well, if you're looking at the building, it will actually be on, of the existing building, it'll be on the east elevation of the existing building.
So, Commissioner Zabel here. So
There's a tree.
we're not talking the entire north elevation going up I-95. We're not talking about painting it all the way from the edge of CMU to edge of CMU, because that looks to be about 60 feet long.
Yeah, I would not. I would let's move the picture to the right. Can we move this so we can see more to the back?
Yes.
That part of the building I wouldn't change. I would change what goes around the back of the building and becomes a smooth block.
So you mean east elevation then? You would change here, right?
That's where I would do it, and you can't see it, of course, because the tree that we discussed is there. But yes, there is about a 20-foot portion of the wall there that you will see, and I'd like to paint that. I'd like to suggest we paint that. It's actually about 30 feet. but you can't see it from this elevation because it's blocked by the tree, which is, I guess, good news in a way. By the way, there's your storage trailers that are going away.
So, Alan, just so, I guess just to clarify, so that means at that corner of the, I guess that's the northeast corner of the existing building. There'd be a color change there at that outside corner?
That's right, because it's part of it is a split face brownish block, and then the rear of it is a regular flat block that's painted white, I'll call it. But I think that if we blended that portion of it to match this, the new building, I think that would be the best we could do.
Tom or John, any other comments on that?
No, that sounds reasonable. I think what Alan had mentioned earlier is that the currently proposed color for the metal panel is already intended to almost match the CMU block that's visible on the north elevation. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay. So this painting would be around the east side as you round that corner, where there's basically going to be a little jut in till you get to the new building.
That's correct.
Okay. Yeah. No, that makes sense.
We're just trying to blend the old building and the new building the best we can at the juncture.
Understood, and that definitely makes sense.
I mean, we're all on the same side. We want to produce the best we can for the client and the town.
Any other further comments from the commission members? Okay, do we have any motion for recommendation, or how do we want to proceed with this?
Again, I think we had very few, I guess, what I'll call substantive comments that we would want addressed, Steve, by the zoning commission during their approval process. We did hear a couple things verbally from the applicant about what additional things that they would do, like this painting that we just discussed. I think overall we would forward a favorable recommendation in lieu of the additional painting that was discussed with the applicant tonight. And beyond that, I think, like I said, we didn't have that many substantive comments requiring modifications, additions, revisions, or deletions. So.
Okay, was that a motion?
Yeah. I was essentially motioning that as presented, with the additional verbal input from the applicant this evening regarding the painting of the northeast corner of the building, we'll provide a favorable recommendation as presented.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Nice. All right, I guess all in favor, say aye.
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 It was enjoyable working with you, your committee. Thank you very much. And Susmitha, is that the way your name?
That's correct.
It was nice meeting you.
You too.
Thanks,
you.
Alan. Thanks, Nick.
Thank you, Alan.
Bye.
So, Susmitha,
Yes.
Eileen, do we need to formalize a response letter tonight, or is that something that you can do and then we can comment?
I think what John Zabel just said would be essentially translated in a letter format, that it is a motion to approve with the additional assurance verbally received from the applicant at the meeting that they would, change the color on the northeast elevation. So because of that, there's no other modifications requested by this committee, and I will just direct that to the zoning commission.
Okay, John, go ahead.
Can I just weigh in, because I don't want to fall into that danger zone that we, to the Commissioner Isabel here. I don't want to fall into that danger zone, Smita, where we're saying we're giving it a favorable recommendation or approve. I think we just somehow indicate, and this speaks to meetings that we've had in months past, where I think what we really want to say is we found that the materials presented were in general accordance with our guidelines, and those additions provided by the applicant verbally regarding painting also would be in general accordance with our guidelines. I think that's the way, at least I'd like to see it written from now on, is something more along those lines, because as we know, it gets touchy if we're voting and then one person's abstaining or one's voting no. You know what I mean? It's really not a vote thing like we talked about. It's more or less saying what we are willing to accept and what we're not. So just a general comment.
Sure, I'll write it that way.
As long as the other commissioners, I'm just proposing that, but as long as the other commissioners feel that that's more appropriate, I think we're better suited to do it that way.
Yes, I agree, John. Okay, are we moving on to the next agenda item? Okay, second application is 520 Success Avenue, review of petition to zoning commission by Comlink Inc. for constructing a proposed 7-unit apartment as an addition to an existing multi-use building that is on the Stratford-Bridgeport town line. Go ahead, Susmitha.
Before the applicant presents his version of the application, I just want to bring to your attention that the staff is not completely sure if this will go to zoning commission directly or it will have to go to Board of Zoning Appeals as well. We did not receive the most up-to-date site plan on this, and in the absence of it, the staff doesn't know if the applicant would require any variances for landscaping and parking. So I just want you to know the status, but this doesn't change the fact that it still needs an ARB review, and your input will only help enhance the product here.
Go ahead, John.
Just in light of that, and this is more a question for Susmitha, would we be given a second bite of the apple if a revised information did come forward and that was required?
Not unless the zoning commission or BZA feel like it should go back to ARB.
Okay.
There has been a stop permit order on this, so the applicant has already built the 3rd floor and with the building permit, and there has been, applicant is dealing with the building department and our zoning administrator on this, and I don't want to speak to that issue here, but what I want to say is that they're way ahead in the process, and I don't know if they will get a second bite in the apple here.
Susmitha, it's Steve Law, Vice Chair.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not quite sure what the progression is. It seems like the building is already up. The addition was built.
Yes, in this case, I think you can look at the exterior elevations, the colors, and any design elements and site landscaping. And if you think site lighting is a factor, the other elements of the design guidelines manual, except for, roof lines or pitch lines, or because it's already built.
But
if you think that is out of line, you could definitely propose, and
well,
it's an advice.
I don't think the application is complete without a site plan. It's actually difficult to really determine how the addition relates to the site. I didn't see access from the public way to the, you know, how do they get to the building?
No, there is.
Is the applicant in the presence?
Yes, can you hear me and see me?
Nick? Okay.
Yeah,
You want to?
yeah,
You want
I do. I do want to comment on that. Uh, Nick Owen, for the record, acting on behalf of the applicant. With respect to Samitha's preliminary remarks, she is correct that a third story on one of the rear buildings that is in question has been complete, and in fact, there is a stop work order. Please be aware that I was not involved in any of that. I only got involved with trying to formulate this application and a revision to the existing building with new additions and new fascias all the way around on this building for the addition of seven additional apartments. This property is very unique in nature, but I'm getting one step ahead of myself here. It is my understanding that this will not require a variance from Board of Zoning Appeal for anything, not for parking, not for height, not for anything. And if I'm not mistaken, a site plan, even though you find people may not have it, was reviewed in on a preliminary basis, and I want to make that clear, a preliminary basis with Jay and with the assistant zoning administrator. I could be wrong, but I can attest to you this evening that there are no waivers that are going to be required, so the site plan is not going to change. We won't have to add any additional parking spaces, take any additional parking spaces away. We comply with parking and all of the regulations to where we would only have to appear before the zoning commission for approval of the project. Now, I hope that that information gives you sufficient ability to move on with this application tonight. I will also indicate to you that the stop work order was issued. The owners are dealing with that. They have stopped work. I think it was either yesterday or the day before, Samitha asked me to get permission for her to view the property, and I can see some pictures on the computer, which I'm unable to put up pictures on a computer because quite frankly, I don't know what the hell I'm doing on this, but with the computer, so she can show. That building has been there for a very long time. That one quadrant on Success Avenue, quite frankly, not to pull punches, is a nightmare of hodgepodge. Including the existing building. At once there were storefront operations there. There are some storefronts that are sporadically open. There are a number of storefronts on that quadrant that are closed, will probably never be opened again. But the buildings are, all of the buildings, including this building, has been hodgepodged over the year. There's brick, there's wood, there's cinder block, there's steel doors, there's everything on it. So this proposal, the proposed 7-unit apartment, is going to be in addition to the existing multi-use building on this parcel. This parcel is a little bit better than 1/2 acre. Now, there are a number of businesses that operate in this property, so it's a multifaceted property, a multifaceted building. It's mostly in the the CA zone. It is also in the the RM1 zone. And the proposed additions to the buildings will be adjacent to the RM1 zones on the property. The the purpose of all of this for the owners of the building is, one, to utilize the maximum use of the property, and they have enough property to do what they are currently proposing, and we don't feel it's going to be an issue with the zoning commission. And we've had a design done to make this entire building, the front, both sides, the rear, look residential in nature, so it cleans up the entire property. I know Samitha can attest to, I don't know if the steel doors were down when she was there with Dan, but all of that will be gone. If you take a look at some of the architectural drawings that were submitted with this package, A-201, AD-201, you will see you will see that this is a completely residential looking building in nature with windows, doors, shutters, clapboard siding, residential roof line, and the entire building will be clad with white vinyl architectural type siding and shingles. So it's going to be a real good looking structure when it's complete. And quite frankly, it will address at least one of the issues on that quadrant on that side of Success Avenue in an attempt to clean up the place. We did not want to do this building. We didn't want to leave the brick there because everything that surrounds this property is done in brick. The Stratford Housing Authority to the rear, to the facing the building, facing 526 S Avenue, the apartments that are on the Bridgeport side to the right are all brick. Across the street are all brick. So we wanted to break this up a little bit to give it a little better look on that quadrant. It is kind of this is a kind of a unique project, as I indicated, because the front portion of this property sits in Bridgeport, and the rear portion that we are seeking approval for, not only from a good recommendation from you guys, a favorable recommendation from you guys, but also from the Stratford Zoning Commission. So not only do we have to appear before the Stratford authorities, we've already appeared and applied before the Bridgeport authorities, and they seem to be happy with what we are doing. I really don't know what other information that I can give you verbally, but I believe through the plans that were submitted and the little computer chip, we gave you a full set of plans, not only elevations but working drawings with all of the details necessary to pull a building permit once the approvals are garnered. And we feel good that based on what we are showing and what we will do, that we should be able to gain the approvals without too many problems. With that, if you good people have any questions of me, and if I can answer them, I'll be more than happy to answer them. I will tell you before I stop yapping, I really want to thank Susmitha. She was very helpful in helping me put this together. This is the first one before the Architectural Review Committee that I've been involved with. So you'll see me again next month on another one, but I want to thank her for her help. She's a very kind person. Thank you, Susmitha.
Um,
Go ahead, Susmitha.
so I did see a different site plan in our office that was before Dan Brennan, and Dan Brennan is our zoning enforcement officer. But I don't see in the package that was submitted today, and I don't even know if that site plan has changed, but if the applicant has a version of that site plan that he can show on screen to us, maybe that would help you all.
I can't do that.
So Nick, yeah, because I'm having trouble understanding the relationship of the front building. I guess the front building, I'm looking at 101 actually.
Steve?
Hey,
Go
what are you
ahead,
looking
John.
at? You're looking at what? 101 or 201?
101. I happen to have the drawings on my other screen. So
Oh, okay.
it looks like a portion of the building that's in Bridgeport is cut off. Is that correct?
No, it's not cut off. This is this entire property, the entire building on this entire property, they were all attached.
So, but if I look to the
You're
left,
looking at 101.
well, go A101. A101, Susmitha, do you,
That's what's on the screen, is it not?
Yes, that is AD 101
yeah,
on
see
screen.
on the
What's
left
on the
hand
what's
on the
on the screen? What I see on the screen now, unless I'm mistaken, are the interiors, how the offices are currently broken up.
oh, there's a cut line there, Nick, and so the balance of the building, which may be in the Bridgeport section, is cut off. So the street, Success Avenue, is further to the left. Is that correct?
Yes, yes.
I
So,
think that I don't pretend to be an architect, and I couldn't get him to attend this meeting tonight. He had a meeting in Monroe. I think that cut line may be the difference between the property line, demarcation of the property line between Bridgeport and Stratford. A101, I got A101. You're looking at A101, is that what you said?
yes. Can
I
I?
have I have A101 in front of me.
Go ahead, Susmitha, you had a comment?
Yes. So there are two things going on in this building. One is that it already has an existing structure in the front, which is
Right.
two-story, and then there is an addition in the back, for which they're going 3 stories. And I think on the existing two, they're adding a second floor, and they're reconfiguring the units in there.
That's
So
correct.
in the absence of a site plan, if the committee feels like you definitely need a site plan for this, you can request the applicant to come back next month with a comprehensive site plan. The reason being, because I was told the initial preliminary site plan that the applicant has submitted said the applicant needed at least 400 square feet of open space per unit that is created according to the regulation, and would need at least 40 additional parking spaces. And I could be incorrect on this because I can tell you that I have not seen the regulations and the site plan myself, but I was just told. But if there is still time for this application, there is, it has not been submitted to BZA or Zoning Commission yet. So in the absence of it, if the committee doesn't feel comfortable offering a recommendation tonight, you can continue this item for the next month and request more information that you will need to make a decision.
You know what? Why don't we, in order to make it more palatable for everyone, why don't we do that? So if you feel that we are missing a new complete site plan, then that would be an integral part of this. So I'm going to look into that tomorrow. And if we don't have one or you don't have one, we will obviously submit it.
Yeah, I think that's the way we should proceed unless commission members have other viewpoints. But Susmitha, I heard you say that what is it, a retail building in the front or offices?
No,
Yes.
Did I hear
they're
you
not,
say they're going to put a second floor on that as well?
no. If you take a look, if you take a look at the plan right now, there is no more retail space facing Success Avenue. Those are 2 apartments. That was formerly retail space. I mean, way back, if some of you guys may remember, it was Dempsey's Bar or Dempsey's Bar and Grill, and now it's been broken up into 2 apartments.
Okay.
So they're reconfiguring the interior, Steve.
Oh, I thought I heard you say they're adding a second floor there.
Yeah, I think
Second
It,
there
floor
is a
is
second floor.
it doesn't seem to show on the elevation though.
Steve, can I jump in? It's
Go
John.
ahead,
well.
John. Go
Go
ahead.
ahead. You want me to go ahead first? Before you just go ahead, if you take a look at the front elevation, you will see that it is a second floor addition to that. And the left, it also shows on the left elevation too. So there is a second floor there.
Nick, it's Commissioner Zabel. I think if we go to A201 and you look at the right side and left side elevations, Steve,
Yeah.
it's very clear that Susmitha, can you pull those up and then I can speak to them rather than looking at my own screen?
I'm looking at it right now. I have a paper copy in front of me.
Yeah, the dark gray, Steve, on right side elevation is existing, and then the more residential looking structures to the right, those are the 2-story and then 3-story up additions that you could see side by side next to one another. And then if you go to the left elevation, those 3 stories are the 3-story addition that abuts the current 1-story. That building in the background is only 1 story. It just has a high pitched roof on it.
That's
I think if
correct.
we went to Google Earth and looked at it, you could see that that would also be helpful to the applicant. We're going to revisit this, not this evening. Certainly some contextual, either Google Earth or something else, another aerial image that shows the context relative to the existing building, elevation, and neighborhood would be extremely helpful.
Okay. That works.
Commissioner Steve, I
Yes,
have a,
Sue Smitha,
if
go ahead.
if you have any other requirements too, please let the applicant know tonight so they can come prepared for the next meeting, like in terms of color schemes or anything else that you would like to know. Because I know I had sent this by email and I requested if you wanted more information, but I did not hear back from you all. But at least, you know, tonight, if you let him know, he will come prepared for the next meeting.
Yeah, okay. Nick, we certainly, need to see how the building sits on the site in the relationship to the street. I think that's important. And as Commissioner Zabel spoke, we should probably see some contextual photographs of the area, a Google Earth image of the building. I'm still not understanding that second story on the existing building. And then some photographs of the area would help tremendously.
Are you telling me that you don't have a survey, an
Not,
improvement location survey of this? Because I'm looking at a paper copy right now.
I have
And
a
I thought,
neighborhood context map. So Smitha, can you go to that? But that's very difficult to read at that scale. I see can you zoom in, Susmitha?
because I'm looking, I can get a copy of this, obviously, for the next hearing, but I'm looking at it in my hand. It shows the location of the buildings on the property, including the new 3-story one to the rear. It's called the Improvement Location Survey, but I can certainly get it over or get you whatever else you need.
Yeah, that wasn't in the email packet that I received. Did you guys get it, John?
No, that was not submitted to our office.
Samitha, you didn't get it on the thumb drive from Rosentizo? No?
No.
Okay.
All right. Any other comments from other commissioners? Tom, go ahead.
Just requesting that we get at least material colors and intent. And then I understand there's not the budget to produce landscape plans, but if we can have, even just a hand sketch with a few lines about the intent or narrative about the landscaping ideas, that would be great.
Okay. As to the colors, I indicated it's all going to be white vinyl. So there's not going to be any color chart involved unless you recommend different colors, but we wanted to do something entirely different out there other than we wanted to make it as colonial looking as we could.
Okay. White is even a color. There's, infinite amounts of white. So anything you could bring us would be helpful.
Okay.
Go ahead, John.
Yeah, I would just refer the applicant to the design guidelines again, as we've done before. And Nick, again, I appreciate this certainly being your first time before us. We did spend a lot of time on our design guidelines. They speak to some of these things that we've brought up. To Tom's point about white being a singular color, I agree. Also, if you could just speak to window trims, downspouts, anything to indicate the context of the building, as you pointed out several times this evening, in relation to the neighborhood and kind of what makes it stand out and what makes it visually pleasing or aesthetic. That certainly is welcomed. Also, as I know you were listening in during the prior application, placemaking items. I mean, it is a residential. Are there going to be bike racks? Are there not going to be bike racks? Is there going to be any seating, any sidewalks, and the way the sidewalks will tie into the use of the property? Anything along those lines, excuse me, would certainly be appreciated when you come before us next time.
Okay. Terrific.
All right, thanks, Nick. Do we need a motion to understand what our next steps are?
No, I think this is good enough. It will be reflected in the meeting minutes because the application wasn't heard. Elaine has something to add.
Aileen? Go ahead.
You never took a formal motion to table from anyone.
That's what I mean, yeah. Can we have a motion to table?
Commissioner Isabel, I'll make a motion to table this application pending the receipt of additional information as requested of the applicant.
Thank you, John. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Tom. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. I thank you guys. I appreciate the input, and we'll see you next meeting, and be safe and have a good night.
Thanks,
Thank you,
Nick.
Thanks, Nick.
Take care.
Yeah.
Let's see. How do I do this?
All right. I think that's it for our agenda items. Any other discussion?
I just want to let you know that Aileen, when she sends her agendas and calendar invites at every meeting, before every meeting, she asks if you are able to attend or not attend. So please reply back to that because today was unusual, and Shannon texted me saying last minute she has to, back out because she has an emergency. But luckily, John was available by text and he said he's able to attend. Otherwise, we would have to cancel this meeting due to lack of a quorum. So
My apologies, Lisa. That was my bad. I guess I just assumed I had said I wasn't coming, so I was coming.
No, actually, you saved us, John. You shouldn't apologize because in your
No,
absence,
but I was
the
coming
meeting would
anyway.
have been canceled.
I apologize as well. I did not respond. I apologize.
So Smitha, just again, can we, I didn't look at this month's agenda. Do we have any other items yet built into the agenda or no?
We have 3 applications coming in for the February agenda.
No, I'm talking about tonight. I'm talking about tonight.
This is it.
But we haven't added yet the other items, or, you know what I mean? We got to add that to the agenda. We have to add that to the agenda for sure.
Yes, I think we talked about that last meeting. I don't know, was our last meeting in October, but we did mention that we needed to add that to the agenda. Do we need a motion to do that?
No, I can add it from next month. We forgot.
Just a, I don't know if you want to call it new business or other topics or
discussion.
Okay. Yeah, I can add it for the next month. And for next month's meeting, we have 3 applications. 2 of those have already been given to our office with the extra sets. So Dan and I would be distributing them in the coming weeks. I am also waiting for another set, but I told the applicant that unless we meet in person, we don't need big size drawings. We can just look at it on the screen. But if you prefer big size drawings, I can request. Otherwise, if we are meeting in person too, I said he can bring reduced size copies to the meeting.
Yeah,
okay.
That's fine. The big size copies are hard to work with when we're remote. Okay. Any other discussion? Do I have a motion to adjourn? John?
Motion to adjourn.
Second? Thank you, Tom. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
See you next month.
Happy New Year, everyone, by the way.
See ya.
Happy New Year,
Happy
John.
New Year.